Hi there, my name is Delaney Haas. This is my chapter, I guess module 1 recap, the video presentation. So I based it off of the PowerPoint, so then I also second referenced the book for this. So the chapter starts with how the Earth began. It talks about the Big Bang Theory, which is something that I've always been interested in. I've always taken a particular interest in the planets and how that all operates. And it talks about the Big Bang Theory, not the TV show, but pretty much how our solar system, how our galaxy, how everything we know came alive. And they say that the age of Earth is about 4.5 to 4.6 billion years old. I didn't know it was that old, but I think that's really cool that we can track it back that far. I guess something that I've always wondered was what tools we use to measure how far back it's traced. So they also go into kind of a geological time scale in this chapter. They have said that Earth is not the only planet that has water on it. They say that Jupiter has water on it, and then recently, in like 2008, they said that they found water on Mars, which is cool. But I guess one of my questions that I have about this is, how did we find out about that? Was that because of the Mars rover? Are they just, seeing if there's H2O particles, or can we actually see water? And if so, what state is it in? So another thing that I found that was interesting was when they talked about latitude and longitude. Something I didn't know is that 1 degree equals 60 seconds of time. I think that's really cool. I didn't really know that. But I've also always loved time zones and how certain states and countries, they don't necessarily follow the time zones. Like Indiana as a state, they have what's called Indiana time zone. This is used by some farmers I know, and I don't know if it's still in practice, but there's always, if you click on time zones, there's always the Indiana time zone. And I know Valpo, Gary, Indiana, a lot of those areas are actually on Chicago time zone because they really help fuel Chicago. So I've always been interested in how the time zones work, and how countries like China, they all operate on one time zone, which is Beijing's time zone. So I found that really interesting. They went and also talk about the depth of the oceans, how the Pacific Ocean is the deepest and how the Arctic Ocean is the shallowest. I didn't know that there was a Southern Ocean. I guess I've always just associated there to be 4 oceans. But I don't know if this is something that's recently come about. It's just never in grade school or high school did they ever talk about a 5th ocean. But I want to know, how is this measured? Because we don't know much about the ocean. So I thought it was interesting when they mentioned the deepest points. How do we know that that's the deepest point? Do we use some sort of radar or graph that shows us, this is our deepest point, and then do they just send a submarine or a device in there? Because I know few people have traveled to the bottom of the ocean, so I didn't know what happened and if we did, how we did reach the bottom. Because I know that if humans go down to the bottom, they're under immense pressure down there. So that's something I'm interested in. The Earth's average temperature is 61 degrees. I did not know that. Water can operate in all states because of that. So the hydraulic cycle, or the water cycle as I have always called it, as a result of the average temperature, which is really cool. Another thing that I thought was pretty interesting about this chapter was how even though 71% of the Earth is made of water, only 1% of that water we can use. I've heard from scientists and reading articles that within the next 100 years or so, we may have a water shortage. So I guess what kind of technology do we have available that can convert salt water into fresh water, just in case, this shortage becomes a big issue? because obviously we can't live without water. So like I said, I just kind of went through the questions as we went through that I had about this chapter, but it's pretty interesting. I'm actually really excited for this course because a lot of the ocean, we know more about outer space than we do about our oceans, and that's on our planet. So it's kind of a great unknown, and I'm really looking forward to going through with this. But my biggest thing is because of, I guess, the path that I'm taking in school, being like an accounting major and marketing major, I'm always wondering like how we measure things. So I have a feeling that my questions are always going to be like, how do we measure this? Because I think that's just really interesting. But I thank you guys for your time, and if you were one of the people to watch this all the way through. But yeah, there's my Module 1 recap. Thank you.